I don't know what to say. Dear Tim and Moby, I'm learning to read music, and I'm having trouble figuring out what the different clefs and time signatures mean. Can you help? Sincerely, Edward. Sure thing, Edward. In written music, notes are placed along 5 parallel lines called a staff. They're also divided into units of rhythm called measures. The clef tells you which tone each note represents, and the time signature tells you the rhythm of each measure. Yeah, it can be a bit confusing. Let's start with the clefs. The 2 most common ones are the treble clef and the bass clef. The treble clef is also called the G clef. The loop at the bottom of the clef circles the second line from the bottom of the staff. That line corresponds to the note we call G. Once you know which line represents G, you can figure out the positions of all the other notes. Now, onto the bass clef. Oh, when do you use each clef? Easy. The treble clef is for music that's relatively high-pitched. In particular, it's for notes that are higher than a tone called middle C. So, the treble clef is used in music for instruments like the trumpet, violin, flute, saxophone, clarinet, and guitar. The bass clef is used for music that's relatively low-pitched, tones that are lower than middle C. It's used in music for instruments like the trombone, tuba, cello, bassoon, and bass guitar. And if you play piano, the music you play with your right hand is usually written with a treble clef, while the music you play with your left is usually written with a bass clef. Anyway, when the bass clef is placed on the staff, the line between the 2 dots corresponds to the note we call F. And just like with the treble clef, once you know where that F is, you can figure out the positions of all the other notes. Get it? Good, then we'll move on to time signatures. If you've ever clapped or stomped your feet along to a song, you probably know that every tune has its own rhythm. That's the pattern of beats that repeats itself throughout the song. If music didn't have rhythm, you wouldn't be able to dance to it. On paper, a piece's time signature tells you its rhythm, and it's usually found right next to the clef. Time signatures look kind of like fractions, but they're not fractions. The top number tells you how many beats or counts are in each measure, while the bottom number tells you what kind of note represents one beat. So a 1 on the bottom would mean that every whole note gets 1 beat. A 2 would mean half notes are 1 beat long, while a 4 means that a quarter note represents 1 beat, and so on. 4/4 time is the most popular rhythm in Western music, which is why it's also called common time. The top number indicates that there are 4 beats in each measure, while the bottom number tells you a quarter note receives 1 beat. If you're counting or clapping along, the pattern of beats goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, there are lots of different time signatures because songs have lots of different rhythms. Another popular one is 3/4 time, known as waltz time. In this time signature, there are 3 beats in each measure, and every quarter note receives 1 beat. If you're counting or clapping along with a song in waltz time, the pattern goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sure, those are pretty simple, but other meters can be a bit more complex. For example, in 6/8 time, there are 6 beats in every measure, and an 8th note receives 1 beat. Even more sophisticated pieces can have really complicated time signatures like 17/8 or 3/10, but those are pretty rare. Time signatures often change in the middle of a piece, though, which can make for tricky reading. Anyway, that's how clefs and time signatures work. Don't let me stop you from finishing your song. I'll just be here reading. Seriously, I never knew he could sing like that.